Justice doesn't send a warning text. It just shows up right on time. Breakthroughs that last don't throw confetti. They rewrite the room while the furniture looks untouched. Chosen one. Tonight. Not someday. Not after a neon sign. Not after somebody finally approves what was already assigned. Tonight, the shift refuses to make noise, and that's your first mercy. Pause with me. Breathe in slow, out slower. Unclench your jaw. Let your shoulders fall. Let your spine straighten. Here's the fact that should make your spine straighten even more. Reality doesn't negotiate, it collects. And when collection begins, it doesn't need a billboard. It needs your awareness. Loud miracles are easy to market. They dazzle, they distract. They can be staged and sold. Quiet shifts are harder to fake, therefore more trustworthy. Quiet is where the math does its work. Quiet is where interference loses its grip because there's nothing dramatic to grab. The enemy hates quiet because it can't ride your adrenaline. That's why this very message makes interference fidget. Alignment cancels interference, and my voice tonight is alignment calling your system back to itself. So hear the promise and hold it, not with fists, but with clean hands. The first proofs won't be fireworks. They will be 3 subtle markers arriving like a key, turning inside a lock you forgot you owned. 1. Emotional settling that makes no sense. You stop bracing for what used to be inevitable. 2. Door friction ending without an announcement. Ordinary things stop snagging. 3. Unexpected clarity that cuts through fog. You can finally see the next clean step. You will recognize them in real time because your body will confirm what your mind debates. Chosen one, tonight is not about hype. It's about thresholds. It's about the quiet upgrade of what your nervous system tolerates and what your life allows. You won't need to explain it. You won't need to prove it. You will simply notice yourself standing where you used to wobble. Take another breath. This is the sound of nothing, and nothing is exactly where inevitability hides before it moves. Chosen one, timing isn't sentimental, it's scheduled. Justice doesn't hold a committee vote, it runs on circuitry. When the hour clicks, the event releases, whether you're watching or washing dishes. That is why it starts quiet, because the math is finished. The ledger is balanced. The collection has begun. Here's the law that should make your chest relax. Reality doesn't negotiate, it collects, and once collection begins, it doesn't issue refunds. Imagine this. A bridge looks stable for months, maybe years. People cross, trucks rumble, nothing breaks. But engineers will tell you the story isn't about drama, it's about load. Weight stacks, micro strains record themselves, and then the final ounce arrives. Not a spectacle, an equation completing itself. Collapse wasn't sudden, it was scheduled by the math. That's tonight, not loud, inevitable. Reframe the waiting you've misnamed as neglect. The delay wasn't denial. It was calibration and accumulation. Lessons had to lock. Patterns had to expose their loops. Cycles don't close until the threshold is crossed. Science calls it pattern completion. Psychology calls it a threshold response. Reality calls it collection. Different languages for the same click, the moment a system stops wobbling between options and commits to consequence. You didn't force this. You stopped feeding it. You withdrew the exact fuel that kept interference adhesive. Your reactivity, your frantic explanations, your need to control optics. Restraint is not passivity, it's precision. When you stood still, the mud had nothing to cling to. Alignment cancels interference because it removes landing strips. Tools don't choose sides, they amplify intent. You kept your hands clean and the amplifier returned a clean signal. Pause with me. Breathe. Feel how the air doesn't fight you back. That's not imagination. That's a system exiting buffer mode. The file was already downloaded. Your screen is just catching up. Quiet is the first mercy of inevitability. Tonight, the mechanism locks. Subtle confirmations begin, not to hype you, but to mark that the bridge has already carried its last ounce and the path ahead has recalibrated under your feet. Walk gently but understand. The clock has spoken. Chosen one, the first sign will not ask for attention. It will arrive like air, finding your lungs after years of shallow breathing. Less dread without a reason, less urgency without a deadline, less need to explain yourself to people who already decided not to understand. Nothing outside changed, and yet your system loosens its grip on panic. That's not a glitch. That's the stamp. The body receives the verdict first. Here's what it is not. It's not numbness. It's not denial. It's not you giving up. Numbness closes your eyes. This calm opens them. Denial runs from data. This calm stands in it and doesn't flinch. Giving up feels hollow. This feels quietly supported, like a floor reclaimed under your feet. Neuroscience would call it a shift out of constant fight mode. Sympathetic dominance easing, cortisol loops loosening, the prefrontal cortex regaining leadership. Breathing deepens without you forcing it. Sleep softens at the edges. You slide in instead of wrestling. Your vigilance backs down because the math has already been done. Somatic checkpoints will give you receipts. The jaw unclenches mid-sentence before you even notice. The chest opens as if a stuck window finally slides. Appetite returns in clean waves. Simple food tastes good again. Your phone feels lighter in your hand because it stops being a threat scanner and becomes a tool. Shoulders descend by a single undeniable inch. You answer slower, and somehow your answers land sharper. Notice what didn't happen. No one apologized. No contract hit your inbox. No billboard flashed your name. And yet, peace sits down like it pays rent. Chosen one, I am not hyping you. I am settling you. Real power is quiet because it doesn't need witnesses. Justice doesn't audition. Alignment doesn't campaign. When you stop vibrating at panic, interference can't stick. Chaos loses its landing pad. The enemy needs your adrenaline to attach. Starve it, and it slips. This is what alignment sounds like inside a body. Steadier breath, longer pauses, decisions that don't leak. Let the calm lead, not as performance, but as proof. The first breakthrough is internal. You stop bracing for what used to be inevitable, and your nervous system finally agrees with the future I already scheduled. Chosen one, here is how you test it. Avoidance turns away from data and invents distractions. Real calm can look straight at the numbers, the message thread, the calendar gap, the face of the person who tried you, and your breath doesn't spike. You don't need to blink it away or explain it to survive it. You can read the whole email. You can check the bank account. You can feel the tremor pass through your body and still stand there, present, uncollapsed. That isn't hiding. That's regulation. Psychology calls it tolerance of truth. Reality calls it readiness. Behavior tells on intent. When the calm is real, you stop rehearsing arguments in your head, like a courtroom that never adjourns. You stop stalking outcomes hour by hour, refreshing for relief that never lasts. You stop checking for validation every 60 minutes because your worth no longer runs on borrowed power. Your texts shorten. Your responses slow. You choose clarity over dumping paragraphs. You accept what is in front of you and move a clean inch instead of fantasizing a mile. Moral stabilization locks this in. No gloating, no revenge fantasies. You don't screenshot to humiliate. You don't gather a choir to sing your side. Restraint becomes dominance because stillness is dangerous. It starves interference. You didn't expose them loudly. You kept your hands clean and let time do what it always does, collect. Watch what happens to manipulators around real calm. They can't read you, so their scripts short-circuit. Your silence becomes a mirror they can't control. Studies call it prediction error. When expected reactions don't arrive, their nervous system spikes and then stumbles. Sleep breaks. Breathing shifts. The body keeps score even when the mouth lies. Imagine a power grid. When your circuit stabilizes, surges can't fry you. They trip their own breakers. Grounding bleeds off excess. Force without grounding snaps back. Alignment cancels interference because there's nowhere to land. And here's the quiet pivot. Once the inside is coherent, the outside starts to move. Doors don't shout, they unstick. Calendars align. Responses arrive without begging. Real calm doesn't hide from reality. It stands in it without flinching, and reality answers coherence like a lock welcoming its key. Chosen one, the second indicator, will not knock. It will simply stop resisting you. Door friction ends without an announcement. By door friction, I mean the 1,000 paper cuts that used to nick your days, delays that made no sense, miscommunications that multiplied, paperwork that looped back for one more missing document, sudden complications that appeared an hour before progress, people who forgot to follow through right when it mattered. The hallway was always there. The hinges were always squeaking. Tonight you notice something subtler than noise. The squeak is gone. Here's the change. The same emails you used to send drifted into limbo. Now they return with clear confirmations. Calls that rang into emptiness now pick up on the second tone. Approvals land without your third nudge. Timing that used to tangle opens a lane you didn't bargain for. Transportation lines up. You arrive and the train is already pulling in. The ride share is around the corner. The traffic wave parts just enough that you make the meeting calm instead of apologetic. You put in a clean inch, and clean inches suddenly travel farther. Imagine this: a rusty lock that fought you for months. You talked to it, begged it, jiggled it, felt ridiculous. Then one ordinary night, no speech, no drama, the inner pins finally line up. One quiet turn. Click. It was never about strength, it was about alignment. Alignment cancels interference. When your movement gets clean, obstacles lose their glue because there is nothing sticky to cling to. No panic to amplify. No scattered energy to misread. No over-explaining to jam the mechanism. Tools don't choose sides. They amplify intent. Your intent is coherent now. The tool returns a coherent result. Don't call it luck. Call it the removal of invisible resistance that fed on your uncertainty and reactions. Interference is dependent. It starves when you stop feeding it adrenaline. Here's the fact that should make your spine straighten. Reality doesn't negotiate, it collects. And when collection begins, it doesn't need volume, it needs clearance. Notice what stops happening. Fewer last-minute emergencies built from someone else's chaos. Fewer almosts that waste your dressing and never seat you at the table. Fewer emotional tolls for basic progress like paying a bill, booking a room, finishing a task. The path doesn't throw petals. It simply stops throwing gravel. When the shift starts, life doesn't get louder. Basic things get easier. Walk through the open like it's normal, because now it is. Chosen one, here's the hidden reason those hinges squeaked for so long. Interference needed your emotion to stick. Control-seeking fed it, overthinking, forcing, chasing, proving. Every frantic refresh poured voltage into a circuit that was never yours to power. Static attracts static. When you tried to manage optics, decode subtext, pre-defend your name in rooms you weren't even invited to, you became a transmitter. Noise invites noise. The more you pushed, the more the grain pushed back. Not because it was stronger, but because you were broadcasting a frequency that magnets chaos. Alignment is the opposite of control. Control is friction, grip, squeeze, micromanage. Alignment is coherence, clean intent, steady breath, minimal movement. Tools don't choose sides. They amplify intent. When your intent was panic scrambled, the amplifier returned distortion. When your intent got clean, the amplifier returned signal. That's why the squeak left the hallway the moment you stopped supplying adrenaline. Interference isn't powerful, it's dependent, and it starves when you stop reacting. Return to sender isn't mysticism, it's mechanics. Manipulation depends on you biting the hook. No bite, no leverage. A trap doesn't care who built it, it responds to weight. Once enough weight is added, the reversal is automatic. They press harder, they carry the pressure. They drag the rope tighter, they feel the burn. You didn't need to yank it from their hands. You simply removed your hands from the knot. Reality did the rest. And understand the cost of carrying that kind of intent. Neuroscience confirms sustained deception locks the nervous system in fight mode. Psychology calls it cognitive collapse. Stress chemistries spike and loop. Sleep breaks, breathing shifts. The heart stumbles. Micro tremors in decision-making turn small tasks into cliffs. The body keeps score even when the mouth lies. This isn't your vengeance. This is their math, not revenge. Removal. You aren't watching a punishment. You are exiting a loop. Pause with me. Breathe. Feel the absence of urgency. That's clearance. When friction ends, bandwidth returns. And what fills bandwidth when panic is gone? Clarity, not brainstorming fog. Precision, a single quiet line through the thicket. The third sign arrives like that, sudden, clean, undeniable. You will not chase it. It will cut through and you will simply see. Chosen one, here it comes soft as an exhale. You didn't know you were holding. You simply know what to do next. Not 10 moves, not a manic sprint. One decision, one boundary, one call, one plan. The mind stops spinning circles and draws a single line. It feels like standing in a straight hallway after months inside a maze. No extra doors to test, no riddles to decode. A corridor lit enough to walk. Pause with me. Breathe. Feel the shoulders release. Confusion lifts heavy and leaves grit behind. Clarity leaves you lighter than your breath. Here's the fact that should make your spine straighten. This sight isn't hype, it's proof the math already finished. Psychology calls it cognitive integration. Science calls it pattern recognition. Reality calls it alignment. 3 names for the same click. Your inner system and outer path syncing their clocks. Clarity exposes with kindness, but without mercy. It shows you who was draining you, the conversation that always cost more than it paid. It shows what delayed you, the ritual of waiting for people who only move when you drag them. It shows where you bargained with your own worth. Discounted rates, over-explained apologies, just this once, favors that multiplied like weeds. Notice how your chest doesn't seize when you see it. That's how you know it's truth, not panic. The body is the receipt. Clarity feels like an exhale that keeps going. Confusion feels like tight shoulders and a jaw rehearsing arguments at 2 a.m. Now hear me. Clarity demands action, not noise. Clean, minimal, decisive. One cancellation sent without a speech. One boundary communicated in a single sentence. One call to the right person at the right hour. One plan written on one page. You don't gloat, you don't announce. You adjust the calendar, update the contact list, return the key that isn't yours to hold. Alignment cancels interference because clean movement closes open loops. When you can see cleanly, the season has already changed. Walk the line you can see, step once, and let reality collect the rest. Chosen one, now we translate sight into movement, not a performance, not a parade. 3 micro moves that lock the mechanism you just felt click. Think of them as the first teeth on a gear, small, precise, and once they catch, the whole system turns. Number 1, you stop explaining yourself to people committed to misunderstanding you. Silence becomes strategy, not coldness, clarity. You remove your nervous system from debates that were designed as drains. No more dissertations to prove a decision you already earned. One sentence or none. You exit the courtroom in your head. Studies call it reducing reinforcement. Reality calls it starving interference. When expected reactions don't arrive, scripts collapse. The enemy needs your paragraphs to anchor. Take the pages back and the hook has nowhere to set. Number 2. You choose one clean boundary tonight, not 10. 1. No negotiation, no apology, no dramatic speech. A single line drawn where you kept wobbling. I'm unavailable for that. I won't be joining. That rate no longer works. Full stop. The power isn't in the volume, it's in the closure. Restraint is dominance. You don't expose them loudly. You stay in your lane and let time do what it always does. Collect. Number 3. You take one small aligned action that would have scared the old you. Send the email. Submit the application. Close the tab that steals your hours. Cancel the loop you've been researching for 6 months. Press one button that moves reality an inch. Tools don't choose sides, they amplify intent. Your intent is coherent now. Watch how fast a clean signal travels. Imagine a machine humming with a rattle you learn to ignore. A mechanic tightens a single bolt. The rattle disappears, efficiency spikes, fuel stretches. One adjustment, massive system change. That's this. Quiet spreads because alignment cancels interference at the root. And if a whisper rises, what if this is just a mood? Hear this verdict that should make your spine straighten. Moods swing, math holds. Emotional settling, door friction ending, unexpected clarity, 3 receipts. Not hype. Reality doesn't negotiate, it collects. Seal it with these micro moves and walk. Tonight's shift becomes real when you respond with clean, minimal, decisive movement. Chosen one, name the whisper so it loses its teeth. What if I'm imagining it? Here's the fact that should make your spine straighten. Patterns don't lie, and your body already testified. The jaw unclenched without permission. The breath lengthened on its own. The doors that always snagged slid. The plan drew a single clean line. That isn't a mood swing, that's math. Reality doesn't negotiate, it collects. When the ledger turns, your nervous system is the first to know. Reframe proof. The old you demanded fireworks because you confused volume with safety. The chosen you recognizes precision. Calm is a receipt. Ease is a receipt. Clarity is a receipt. Quiet consistency is the signature of protection. Fog lifting off a road doesn't build a new highway. It reveals the one that's been there all along. Nothing was added. Obstruction left. You're not hallucinating. You're finally seeing. Now, watch what happens the moment you stop seeking reassurance. You become unreadable to those who fed on your check-ins and your tremble. Their scripts needed your pulse. Your refusal to beg for confirmation triggers prediction error. Studies call it that spike when expected reactions don't arrive. They panic quietly because your stillness starves their leverage. Not revenge, removal. Restraint is dominance. Identity lock it. You're not random. You're being trained. What you survived wasn't punishment. It was instruction in alignment, in breath, in clean movement. You learned how to carry power without leaking it into arguments you don't owe. You learned that tools don't choose sides. They amplify intent. Yours is coherent now. So here's how we walk the night. No gloating, no victory lap. Keep your hands clean. Breathe evenly. Watch the 3 indicators repeat without chasing them. Hold one boundary. Take one aligned inch. Let the fog keep burning off while you drive steady. If doubt knocks, answer without debate. Patterns don't lie. Protection prefers quiet. Then rest. Tomorrow meets those who move like this, with discipline, with belonging, with a calm that doesn't need to be loud to be real. Chosen one, here's how you walk through tonight. You don't chase the shift, you become worthy of it. Regulate first. Breathe in for 4, out for 6, 3 rounds. Sip water, slow, not chugged. Turn one light off. Let your system know the noise is over. Put your phone face down for 10 minutes and let your pupils tell your brain it's safe. Unclench your jaw. Roll your shoulders once. This isn't performance, it's clearance. Now observe without forcing an outcome. Name 3 things. What feels lighter, what stops resisting, what becomes obvious. Don't massage the answers. Let them surface. If the breath sits deeper for no reason, that's emotional settling. If a task you dreaded just slides, that's door friction ending. If one next step appears clean against the fog, that's unexpected clarity. Document it like evidence of a new operating system. Time stamp it, 1 line each, not to brag, to anchor. Receipts keep you from negotiating with doubt at 2 a.m. Seal it with non-revenge discipline. No gloating texts, no vague posts, no courtroom rehearsals. You don't collect scalps, you close loops. This justice isn't about revenge, it's about removal. Your hands stay clean, your path stays open. If an apology never comes, you still sleep. If a door opens, you walk through. No speech, no swagger, just steps. Restraint is dominance. Alignment cancels interference. Here's the fact that should make your spine straighten. Reality doesn't negotiate, it collects. Alignment cancels interference. The body keeps score even when the mouth lies. So walk cleanly, watch quietly, and let reality do what it already scheduled. And if this message steadied your breath, help it find the next set of hands shaking tonight. Press like, subscribe, and keep this conversation alive where algorithms listen. Drop 777 in the comments if you felt the quiet shift start. No speech, just a signal. Then rest. The math is moving while you sleep.